On today's episode of Watch Jericho, we are here in beautiful Phoenix, and we've got another 1,000 miles to get home. It's actually a little more than 1,000 miles. It's more like 1,100 or something. So it's gonna be a long trip, but at least it was nice to wake up with some nice weather where you could actually wear a t-shirt outside. Let's go jump in the McLaren. It's right there in the perfect car guy parking spot. There's only one spot. Go get some breakfast and get back on the road. It's also super late. This time change and all the travel really messed me up. I had Julio Berto's last night for dinner, carne asada fries. Not good. It was just a bunch of cold meat on some gross cheese covered in old fries. Told you guys, best parking spot ever made. What is going on, guys? I'm Watch Jericho, and today, like I said, we are back in my first year 12C to try to make it another 1,000 miles home. After some Dunkin' Donuts, I'm starving. Still runs. That's something. It sounds incredible in here. This resort is absolutely monstrous, and it was like the cheapest thing I could get in the middle of the night. So, I mean, it was well under $100. So, I had to stay here, and it had a built-in water park. I wish I could go enjoy the water park, but it's not really that hot today, so kind of a stupid idea. This is that water park. It is gigantic, and we can't see any of it. We made it 1 minute down the road. Tire monitoring fault, call McLaren Service Center. I don't want to call them. So yesterday, while I was driving the car, I kept noticing, I was scrolling through the vehicle info just to make sure everything was okay. I wish I could see the actual oil temp and numbers and the water temp and numbers, but you know, I'm watching the gauge as we're driving, and I'm flipping through the tire pressures and everything like that to check to make sure all of that's okay too. And what I kept seeing is one tire, driver rear, would say it was like 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and all the other tires are like 70, which is, you know, ambient temp, road temp. So that seemed like some kind of red herring, but also like maybe it was scrubbing a little bit. But then I get in today and see that tire pressure monitoring fault. It actually kind of gives me hope that it's just a bad sensor. So that's not a bad deal at all. The tire pressures also look fine on it. It's showing 35, 35, 35, 36, so that seems okay. We still have an error. I don't know what the error is, but let's get some gas, get some food, and back on the road. We're back out on the road in the McLaren. It's doing great. Even the TPMS light shut back off. The message disappeared to call the service center, and it seemed like everything was going great, and then I hit a bump. And the moment I hit that bump, everything stopped responding on the touchscreen. My podcast stopped and everything locked up in the infotainment. The pause button doesn't work, the hardware buttons don't work, nothing on the touchscreen works at all, and there is no audio. Just McLaren things. I don't know what else I expected. I'm probably gonna have to pull over soon because I don't have my Waze alerts without the audio. And it's nice to have something to listen to. I had music on all day yesterday, but the music kind of beats you down too. It has to be really loud to overcome this engine and all the wind noise. So while the system sounds incredible, it has to be cranked, and that also kind of wears you out even more. Since you eventually get listening fatigue from your brain constantly having to decipher between the music and the engine and the wind noise, it makes you even more tired and makes you want to fall asleep on your drive even more. I pulled over, shut the car down, locked it, which should put everything in the low power state, turn it all the way off. So I was gone for like 3 minutes, start the car back up, and it restarts with the podcast still on the screen, and I was like, oh no! I mean, instantly. And the phone wasn't even connected to the car. I quickly Googled 12C infotainment locked up, and there are a million threads that are like, yep, it does that. So just guessing, I held the power button, and after like 10 seconds, it rebooted and went to the McLaren screen, which of course the first Google result showed just a picture of that McLaren logo on the screen, and everyone's like, if you see that, you're screwed. And I unplugged my phone, and it finished booting, and it's back! So far, so good. So let's get back on the road. I've got audio again. One problem sort of fixed. Also, it's $4,000 to upgrade this to the better iris system. Oh man, I thought he had me. I was turning to this gas station going like literally 5 miles an hour, creeping up, and I just jumped out of the car like 1 second before to take a picture, and then I shut my door and went into the gas station, and this state trooper pulls around behind me, and I was like, oh, come on, man. But he pulled over the VW that was flying around me, so we're good to go. Let's get some gas, another bathroom break. This thing's about out, and back on the road. 6 hours of straight driving and I am absolutely beat. But we're in Albuquerque now, so that's progress. There's a long ways left to go. GPS says I will be home in 10 more hours, 611 more miles. So that does mean I drove like half of it just straight through. So that's pretty good. That sounded cool. Anyway, it's break time. We're here at Jack in the Box. Same place I stopped earlier this year with the Volt, I think, or the GTR, one of the two. And we're gonna get some fuel, get some food, back on the road. Let's see how far we can get. Albuquerque gas stop just finished up. It's time to check the oil. So to check the oil in the car, you have to go through this whole set of menus. It's like press back, go to vehicle info, go down to oil level or oil status, and then it says conditions not met. And it doesn't give you any other instructions, but what you have to do, the car needs to be up to temp, and then you put your foot on the brake and you hold the throttle. You can hold it wide open, but it will limit the RPM to 2 grand and just hold it there. And then it counts down. This time it made me hold the throttle at 2,000 RPM for 40 seconds. And then, yeah, as you can see, we have oil. Based on that oil consumption, it was 2 bars higher than that when we left. I think we'll make it home just fine. So let's get back on the road and hopefully make it all the way back to my house before we have to put a bunch of oil in the oil sump. Luckily, it probably holds like 12 quarts, 13 quarts. These dry sump engines typically hold a ton of oil because you figure the oil's helping cool the engine. It's helping cool the turbos. It's, you know, keeping the engine alive. So it's pretty critical to have a bunch of oil and for it to not oil starve. So let's get out of here. Now that we're back on the road, I wanted to take a quick second to note, this is still better than the way you check the oil in the Porsche, where you shut the engine off and you have to wait between 1 hour and 30 minutes. That is pure insanity. Otherwise, you have to check...
Police reported ahead.
Oh, thank you, Waze. Otherwise, you have to check your oil before you take off, which you'll never remember to do. I always want to check the oil right when I get out. And we're finally off of I-40, headed north out of New Mexico. The navigation says there's at least 7 more hours on the trip home. It's been a long day already, and it's just gonna get really long when it turns into the second day. Oh, it's freezing outside as well, so there's that. And the doors don't like to shut, and they don't like to shut even worse when it's freezing outside. It's almost 1 a.m. right now. I just crossed the Oklahoma state line. I promise you guys, I'm not making this stuff up. I've had to reboot Iris one more time. It just randomly locked up on me again. Luckily, it came back. So we're back to entertainment and having my Waze alerts. And right about the time I crossed the Oklahoma state line, the instrument cluster came up with a new, very fun message. It is engine system fault, call McLaren Service Center. But no check engine light. You can see everything looks great over here. Over here, everything looks bad. Luckily, I got gas like 60 miles ago. So my new game plan, I think, is to see if I can get all the way home. I can't. Let's see. I think there was roughly 300 miles left last time I checked. Fuel range is showing 180 miles. So obviously just restarting the car might clear this. It seems like it clears almost every error on this car. You like restart it, drive it a couple feet, the error goes away. But then again, it might not. And that's not a chance I'm exactly willing to take. So we're gonna get as close to home as we can. And we're definitely gonna get well within the 200-mile range that AAA has. It would be terrible if I had to wait in the freezing cold all night without enough clothes in here to really stay warm. But at least AAA will get the thing home for free if it breaks and we're within range. If you can't tell, the car's running perfectly. And also, I can't pull whatever code this is because it's McLaren specific, so I'm kind of completely in the dark. I just have to go with engine system fault. I made it into Kansas, so we're getting close to home base. There are 22 miles left until we're within AAA range. I just hope we can make it those 22 miles, and then I'll probably stop for gas shortly after that. I wish I could stop now, but you always gotta wonder, if you turn the thing off, will it restart? I mean, I wonder that about all my cars every time I start them, but you know, this one, I'm even more concerned. You have got to be kidding me. In less than 48 hours, we have down and backed it, flew out to Anaheim, picked this car up, sent it back. I think we've experienced every single error a McLaren could possibly have in literally 48 hours as well. The engine system fault is still there. I haven't shut the car off yet, so this will be the real test if the thing restarts after this. Also, for some reason it always shuts all the way down, and this time it decided to stay on. I don't understand what's going on with it. Like, okay, now it's back on. Now it's off for real. That's a new one for me. Sometimes the clock just randomly changes entire time zones. I think it switches to UTC sometimes. Right now it says 4:11 a.m., so it doesn't update with the time zone. It's actually 5:12, and it's not even GPS synced. It's crazy. This car is crazy. It's full of quirks, but it made it 1,400 miles in less than 48 hours, which is more miles than most people put on their McLarens in their entire lives. So, what a champ. We're now at 63,759 miles, and I almost hate to say it, but I love this car. It's up there with the best cars I've ever driven. 911 Turbo S. I hate to say the MP4-12C does it for me, but it kind of does. And the old Aventador, and I love the Aventador because it's a beautiful, amazing sounding piece of junk and one of the best cars you'll ever drive. But yeah, $76,000, crazy value for money. Probably the most affordable supercar there is. This thing crushes Gallardos. I actually was kind of thinking about buying a Gallardo because they're getting cheap again. I'm so happy I bought this instead, even though it's weirdly completely broken, but also perfect at the same time. I guess we'll find out when I start it tomorrow, and we got to refill the oil, service the car now that I put all these miles on it, and go drive it and enjoy it, and we'll see what breaks next. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjrgo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. Also, if you try to sit in this car with accessory mode on and you don't actually turn the car on, it shuts down every like 30 seconds. It's crazy. All right, it's freezing. I'm going for it. This is what I came home to with the McLaren. The neighbor's sprinkler valve exploded. But I guess I came home at the right time. I can fix it for him. Don't let that stuff freeze, boys. The valve just blew apart. And we have a true winter wonderland. Look at this. This thing must have been running, I'd guess, for, I don't know, 6 hours. My entire driveway is ice.